Transurfer and the Transurfing Curious. My name is Renee Garcia and this is Transurfing TV. Before I get started, remember to like this video and comment below. My world is taking care of me. To enter my daily giveaway for my reprogramming stickers and Reality 2.0 on Teachable, link below. Y'all check it out. Join us on Facebook, subscribe, Instagram, reality_transurfing. Check it out, y'all. So today's video, does it feel right? Transurfing really has helped me to connect with something that Vadim talks about in the book a number of times. In, I believe, the chapter Guiding Signs, he says that an inner state of discomfort is a clear guiding sign. And it's so interesting because in my past, I could recall very clearly times when I was ready to make a move and I could feel something was wrong, right? I could feel that something deep down inside was like, no, don't do this. And that feeling got louder and louder up until about the point that I found reality transurfing. At first, when I was, teenager, super young adult, I didn't really feel that thing, but then as time went on, I would start to feel it more profoundly. And again, before I found transurfing, probably about the last year of my life, pre-transurfing, I really would feel this thing saying, no, don't do this. Don't do this. And then, of course, my inner intention mind would kick in and say, oh no, but this is the right thing to do. Or you can't just bail on it because you have a duty, or some sort of pendulum or inner intention thought would come in and try to counteract, right? Try to get involved. And again, this is the mind trying to overpower the heart. I believe that my heart was absolutely trying to tell me something. It took me a little while to hear it. Finally, I got it, right? Finally, I got it, but the message was very clear leading up until the time that I finally got it. And this message was, it don't feel right, right? It don't feel right anymore. This isn't right. This isn't the life track that I'm supposed to be in. This isn't the reality that I'm supposed to experience. This isn't the information that I'm supposed to connect with. I know there's something beyond this. And it really took me really listening to the voice of my heart, trying to tell me what was up, right? So in the book, Vadim says, and I love this. This is really a magical thought if you stop and think about this for a moment. But he says that heart and mind coordination creates a frequency that corresponds to your optimal life track. So I had somebody reach out to me, I think it was yesterday or possibly this morning, saying, I feel like I'm not experiencing the right reality. And really what that is that's a product of your heart, just the voice being stuffed down and stuffed down and stuffed down and stuffed down, and the mind just working itself up. Remember, reality is simply our perception of it, right? If you're perceiving your reality as not being right, you absolutely have the power to change that. But whatever you have been doing leading up to that feeling that something just isn't right, I'm almost 100% willing to bet that it is an overactive mind and a turn away from the voice of the heart, right? So again, when you are in active heart and mind coordination, you're resonating at a frequency that connects you with a life track that's optimal for you. It's your special place, right? You're the frail of your soul, that little code that is who you are as a person and what really are as a person, you as an individual, and what is really intended for you on those other lifelines. When you're in a state of heart and mind coordination, all this stuff just magnetizes. This is what's happened for me, right? I have magnetically attracted what is optimal for me. What is optimal for me? And again, this is about heart and mind coordination, because if you're just in your mind, you are going to be attracting magnetically something very, very different than the life track you would experience tapped into that absolute place of heart and mind coordination. So if your mind is overworking right now, now is probably the time to really dive into this modality and figure out how you can get the voice of your heart speaking a little more loudly. So when you do encounter whatever it is that is going to help you evolve or help you shift into a higher lifeline, you can hear that, right? Because when the mind's overactive, you don't hear shit anymore, because the mind's just doing its thing and the mind will run itself into the ground. I know this because this is exactly what my mind did. Ask your higher self and your inner observer. So if you are challenged to make a choice, or you are living in a version of reality that you don't feel is right for you, ask your higher self and your inner observer. Watch the video Inner Observer that I just did, and I talk a lot about the differences between these two different voices and getting these voices to work together. This is really, really powerful. But if you are in a place that you're not happy with, get that inner observer and that voice of your higher self telling you what is wrong, because they will tell you. And it is amazing when it happens, because you're like, wait a second, that voice was just right there. It was right there with the information, but my mind was closing that out, right? So your higher self, your inner observer, the voice of your heart, all of this stuff is definitely going to lead you in the path of what is right and help you to determine what is not right in your current layer of reality. If it doesn't feel right, ask yourself, what pendulum is at play? So again, getting back to a very profound experience I had before I found reality transurfing, this guy that I was dating asked me to move in with him, and I was reluctant to do that. Now, I had some stuff over at his house because I was spending a lot of time over there, and I remember one morning very clearly, he had asked me before he left to work if I was going to bring the rest of my stuff over, and things already were not going well. So when it came time to leave, I had this feeling that I wasn't going to be bringing my stuff over, that I wasn't supposed to go and get my stuff. But then I was focused on the stuff that was already there, and I was like, okay, well, if you're not to go get your stuff, if you feel like this is not right and this does not feel right, then wouldn't it just make sense for you to take your stuff that's currently there and just go? And I remember feeling this very torn, like, whoa, what do I do? Do I leave the stuff here? Do I just go get my stuff? And there was a very, very clear sign, inner discomfort. Every cell in my body was telling me not to go get my stuff and to take that stuff and leave with me. But you know what I did? I left that stuff and I went and I got my stuff and I moved in. And it was a horrible experience. It was horrible. It was probably the worst experience that I had romantically. It played out over a period of a year, and every single turn, every single fight, every single hurtful things said to me, I recalled that time when I knew I should have just took my stuff and left. I knew it didn't feel right. My heart was trying to tell me, and I simply didn't listen, right? So what was happening here? A pendulum was at play, a major pendulum. I was being pressured to move in. I was having someone sort of create a reality for me, and I didn't stop myself and just be like, okay, I see myself. I see my reality. This isn't the way to do it. This does not feel right. So that pendulum hooked me, and I went along for a very unpleasurable ride, right? So where is the imbalance of importance? This is another point. A lot of times when you either gain the sense that something isn't right, or you kind of know like either something's not right or you shouldn't make that choice, there's usually some importance issues there. For me personally, with my story, I kept telling myself, well, you're getting older, Renee. This is what you got. You might as well make do with it. And I was playing into the importance of being in a relationship at my age. And that was causing some fucked up thinking on my part. And this is how the pendulum hooked me, right? Well, you are getting older. Well, I mean, this is kind of what we got now. Maybe you shouldn't just throw it away, right? So I was getting hooked by that pendulum via my importance levels about, ideals and things that really weren't, beneficial to me in my layer of reality. There's no real, that's about as simple as it gets, right? So to get out, if you are in something now that doesn't feel right, or you are up for a decision and you're like, oh, what do I do? What do I do? Simple solutions to complex problems. Vadim Zeland talks about this in the book, that oftentimes the easiest, the best solution is the easiest and closest one to us. So getting back to my story again, my solution to this complex problem was to tell the guy to fuck off and take my stuff and leave, right? So simple. I would have saved myself so much aggravation, so much time, so much crying. This was really in my worst period before I found reality transurfing. It really was nightmarish. But I could have saved myself a lot just by taking that easy escape route, the most obvious solution. So remember, Vadim gives the example in the book of a window being opened and that fly hitting its head on the glass, like trying to escape, when it could just fly out the window and go, right? But sometimes we lose our ability to see that the window's open. And this is where I see myself and I see my reality. I see that I have choices. I see where my importance levels are off balance. I see where pendulums are fucking with me. I see that I am acting from my mind and I am not allowing my inner observer to kick in and to direct me towards that higher version of myself, right? And I see, again, that there's no heart and mind cohesion around this thing. Me in that example that I gave was all mind. There was no heart there. And this is really where it all comes together. Vadim Zeland says in the book, if the heart says no and the mind says yes, it's an automatic no. If the mind says no and the heart says yes, then it's a possibility, right? If the heart says yes and the mind says yes, you're good to go, right? That is heart and mind coordination. That is that thing that clicks and you're like, okay, this is intended for me. This is my thing and this is what is going to help me connect with that optimal life track that is, you know, where I want to be. So leaving everyone with this, again, back where we started, heart and mind coordination creates a frequency that corresponds to the optimal life track. Period. If you are not feeling heart in whatever you are doing right now, it is going to be challenging for you to access some of those higher lifelines. You've got to be in active heart and mind coordination, flowing, not having an overthinking mind running the show, right? Getting yourself to a place where there's balance between these two voices. And this is kind of what it is. So again, are you feeling something right now that doesn't feel right? What steps can you take to really get yourself going in a direction where you do feel right? And in closing, this is such a simple thing to ask yourself. Does this feel right? Does my relationship feel right? Does my occupation feel right? Does my living situation feel right? Whatever makes up your life, your circumstances, checking in with yourself, asking, does this feel right? And if not, doing what you need to do so that it does feel right. So let me know your thoughts on this video, everybody. Like, subscribe, and thank you so much for watching. Bye, guys.